So,
Okay. Hello and welcome. Ooh, very cool. Wow.
and stuff in progress.
We've got stuff all over the place.
Yeah, needless to say, during the virus and all this and that kind of thing, I've been trying to keep busy on stuff.
Yep. Same here.
I think a lot of the artists, it's like on East Side Art Collective too. A lot of those guys been posting some of their whips and whatnot, so that's been really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So can't complain there at all.
Yeah. Remind me and I guess tell everyone, what is the East Side Art Collective?
East Side Art Collective, which is ran by Andrea Art for the most part, is basically just another group of artists. We'll all get together typically at least once a month and either do something and or do nothing, sit around, get everybody caught up on what they've been working on, what they've been doing, anything new in their lives, etc.
Yeah.
They also will bring in stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
A great
So it's a
example.
local meetup?
Excuse me?
It's a local meetup?
Yeah, it can be at anywhere. We
Awesome.
do some of them at Circle 9. We've done them at Red Barn. We've done it at Coyard Coffee a couple times.
Oh, I love Colyard.
So just all over the place.
Awesome.
And like we're coming up on Easter now, which we probably won't be doing anything this Easter just because of the virus.
Nope. Not in person anyway.
But like last Easter, we put some little small like 4x4 paintings and sketches and so forth like that in Easter eggs. Let everybody have an Easter egg hunt. So
Oh, cool.
some tuned towards kids, then some was tuned towards like adults.
Mm-hmm.
So like I did a gift certificate for one of my paintings
Mm-hmm.
that I did for the Joker. And
Cool.
put that in an Easter egg, and luckily enough an adult found it. So, Mommy, what's this? No, put it in the closet.
I don't know. Kids watch Batman, right?
That is true, very much. Well, they're flexible. You know, they bounce back pretty easy, so it's kind of hard to traumatize them.
Yeah. So I think I can see behind you on the wall the painting that is in the magazine. Is that right?
Yes.
Very cool. Yes, I love that one. So tell me a little bit about that process of creating that piece.
Well, actually, Kyle Aberman, Kyle Scoots,
Mm-hmm.
we did the boring here on the background.
Okay.
And he had instant messaged me over and showing me some of his stuff, wanting to do something together. I'm like, yeah, send me some stuff, man. We'll see what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent that one, and it just kind of clicked.
Yeah.
So it was like, I got something put on that.
Yeah.
And of course, I painted the water girl on the front of it there. Some people say it's butterfly wings. Some people think it's just, water spiraling behind her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's art.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they think is fine.
Open to interpretation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Very cool.
So it's one of those things that we did it up, and he's like, yeah, man, go ahead and sell it. And I'm like, no. It's something me and him did together. So it's like, no, I'm keeping this one, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
There to die.
Yeah.
So we bumped into each other at another one of the art meets. So I took it up there with him and had him also sign the back, so that
Yep.
generation from now, or time capsule or whatever, if somebody finds it, they'll know that both he and I
worked on it. Yeah. Very cool.
I don't do pouring. I dig it, but I don't do it.
Yeah, same. It's beautiful and fascinating, but I've not done it myself. Yeah. But I have done, I think only one, but I did one piece where I had a friend of mine pour the resin and then I painted on top of it.
Well, that's the thing. It's a a lot of people get kind of stuck up on, well, this is my art kind of thing. And it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
you grow if you try other things. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also fun to work with other people just for the simple fact you get some of their input, some of their ideas and stuff like that.
Yes.
And, no man's an island.
Right.
And,
right. Collaboration. I feel like collaboration between artists is happening all the time. Whether it's even like intentional or not, because we're also surrounded by art, really. I mean, visual, music, movies, all of it, books, stories, all of it is, architecture. I mean, technology design these days, it's kind of everywhere, and it all, like, you can get inspired by almost anything, and usually someone created the thing that inspired you, or had a hand in it somehow.
Oh, absolutely. But again, that's one of the things that, as long as a person doesn't get too hung up on it, they want to explore, do different things with different people and so forth like that. It's, again, a growing experience for everyone involved.
Right.
It's, I don't think that anybody should get too terribly hung up on it, and themselves, for that matter. We'll turn that one off. And just for the simple fact, you're, number one, supposed to have fun with it.
Yes.
I mean, I work a full-time job, so this is my hobby. I mean, I also do anything pretty much that I can get my hands on, as far as leatherworking, jewelry.
Ooh.
Then on like the art side, I do everything from the pencil to pen, acrylic, oil, watercolors, just kind of whatever. And one of those individuals that get bored kind of quick. So for me to try out something new, is again an exploratory thing. It's not like I'd go out and buy $1,000 worth of equipment to do etching right off the bat, but I would see what I could do with a pocket knife and go from there. And
start off, try a little something.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. And then when you work with other artists, like Michael Jones, he did a class a little while back on the Eastside Art Collective. He does the alcohol stuff. And alcohol and ink. And some of it looks just totally incredible, because you'll put it on tiles. Some of it's glass, some of it's ceramic, and so forth. Excuse me. And somebody like that invites you and says, "Hey, yeah, we're going to get together and we're going to do this." Well, now you get to learn something new, and you don't have to go out and invest, $500 for the setup. And so it helps everybody in the long run. And so then you get some of those ideas, and you come back to yourself. Because, especially on a mixed medium piece, I mean, where do you stop? What do you not do on a mixed medium piece? It's sky's the limit kind of thing. And you can take that limit from stuff that you get from other people, learn from their experiences, and hopefully some of their shortfalls too. Because they're, no, don't do that, because this will happen. Oh man, shoot, I'm glad you told me. I'd run a canvas,
Yeah. They ruined one, so you don't have to.
Which I've got one sitting over in the corner. I worked a month on this painting, and when I got done with it, I didn't like it, so I cut it out of the frame, rolled it up, and threw it away. I keep the frame over there as a reminder. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
Period. Don't second guess yourself, because you can do too much.
Yes.
And if you sit there and stare at it long enough, that's exactly what will happen. You'll do too much, and you'll ruin it.
Oh yeah. I'm working on a piece right now that I'm redoing, because I did the first version and was just like, no, this is not right. But I learned a lot. Like, I learned how not to do it the first time around, and I am able to make it. Like, I'm pretty sure this second version is going to be the final one, because I learned enough the first time to adapt.
Yeah, there you go. Body slam. This one here, I call World Upside Down.
Okay, that's cool.
Not beautiful by any stretch of the imagination. Not particularly any train of thought. I had those colors that was running low in the tube, and I didn't want to just throw them away.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed out my paint knives, and that canvas has been painted over, and that's like the sixth time.
Wow.
That particular canvas has been painted on.
Mm-hmm.
Something different.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the stuff I'll do, I'll experiment with something, and like on that canvas, and work out different techniques, try different stuff. And, you know, like one of the big no-nos, especially with paints, is you never mix oil and acrylic.
Right.
They don't go well.
No.
But you get a really cool crackle effect.
If you do.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you take and you lay out your oil color as the background. Then you throw your gesso over top of that, and of course it separates, it crackles. But when it dries, you can paint with acrylic, and it'll only stick to the gesso parts. So now you get this really cool crackle paint effect.
Yeah.
So just messing around with different stuff like that, and versus, you know, burning through a dozen canvases for different ideas. That one's probably got like an eighth of an inch of paint on it.
It's just your trial canvas to try stuff out on. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, by the time I get done with it, it'll weigh like 5 pounds and be bulletproof.
Well, good. So is that something that you discovered on accident, the mixing of the oil and the acrylic paints?
Yeah, just messing around, because it's one of those things, you know, it's kind of like oil and water don't mix.
Right.
Simply put. But when you do that, oil on the water gives you a really cool rainbow effect and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So by that working, why not try it?
Yeah, see what happens.
See what it does.
So after you play around with that and kind of see what it does, do you incorporate that intentionally into your paintings ever?
Yes, actually I do. There's pull it up here on the computer. I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well. So I've got one sitting down at Coalyard that I did exactly that on.
Oh yeah.
And then I do airbrush also. So a lot of some of the backgrounds I do is airbrush, and then, you know, do acrylic or oil over top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, anything that I do is actually brush work.
Yeah.
As in hand brush. But with airbrush, you can just get so daggone creative. You can go all over the place with it.
Yeah.
Especially if you make a few little templates for specific angles or designs or anything like that you want, you know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and too, like on backgrounds, like if you wanted a lace background, well, if you don't want to sit there and hand paint every single string of that thing, get a piece, grab an airbrush, throw a top coat on that bad boy. There you go. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. You can just like use stencils and stuff to build it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool.
And another good example is like, it's more or less of a stamp, but it's not a stamp like a rubber stamp. But in one of the meetings that we had on, again, Eastside Art Collective, was taking chunks of styrofoam, and you would etch into that a pattern of whatever kind you wanted, so to speak. And then from that, you'd run over it with, you could use acrylic, you could use oil, water paint, or, you know, pretty much whatever you wanted to for all intended purposes. But you take and you very lightly put that on the styrofoam and then press it on your canvas or your paper or whatever else as such. Now you have basically a stamp pattern for anything that you want.
Huh.
Drawn out to detail and not having to sit there and get the block of rubber and the chisels and everything like that to cut it out.
Yeah.
So a very quick and easy and very effective, very cool way of doing it.
To make your own stamp. Yeah, that's very inventive.
This is one of the ones that I did with airbrush and then hand brush over it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's very
three
pretty.
panels. That's 3 panels, 10 by 20.
Yeah. All hung up together. So how long have you been doing this? How did you get into painting?
Oh, I've always tinkered around with it since I was a kid. And it's one of those things that almost 2 years ago, I hadn't painted for a decade.
Oh, wow.
And about 2 years ago, I was upstairs on our 3rd floor, and there's my art supplies. And it's like, I ought to do something with this versus letting them dry out and run.
Mm-hmm.
So I knocked out a couple of quick paintings, just whippets, and people really dug them. So then a lot of people said, "Oh, you ought to sell those." And it's one thing for somebody to like your stuff.
Right.
It's a whole different ballgame in order for them to purchase your stuff.
Yes.
Because, it has to mean something to them, and hopefully it's a good painting,
Mm-hmm.
or it satisfies their taste on that behalf.
Mm-hmm.
But figured, okay, why not? I'll try it. So I got with Michelle down there at the Cove Yard, because that's the 5547 project, and asked her, hey, people are going on about my paintings a little bit. What do you think about me bringing some down here and putting them up? So sent her a few samples of my work and so forth, and she was very agreeable, and she's like, yeah, bring them in. So we did, and it just kind of took off.
Yeah.
I don't paint any one specific thing by any stretch of the imagination. I see it, I dig it, I paint it.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. That's my process. I've probably got 100 pictures on my phone of different stupid things, as far as the way the light's reflecting off of the car hood, all the way down to the back of a kid's head. Because it's like, okay, that looks kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I may or may not ever use it. Say, for instance, I'm not shy about asking somebody for their photo,
Mm-hmm.
because different people have different characteristics, and sometimes I'll paint that person and then throw a hat on them, or just do something different with it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then same, for instance, they might have very intriguing eyebrows or a really cool nose that just fits their face perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Different things like that. And even though I may never paint that specific person, I might use different characteristics of them in a painting.
Okay, like you use a particular nose in a painting where you just need a nose.
Yeah, it's art. It's a bunch of color.
Mm-hmm.
So you can manipulate it any way you want. So then that I don't do like caricatures. Because some of them are kind of humorous, but 99 times out of 100, the key thing about doing a caricature is to kind of exaggerate the said quality of that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be something that they're kind of touchy about.
Right. Yeah. Caricature art is always a little tricky. You always hope that the people who are signing up for it really understand what they're signing up for and have the confidence to deal with it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I never really cared to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, long story short, I don't. It's kind of like commission works. Everybody likes to do commission work. And, I'm right up there.
Oh, you don't do commission work at all?
No, I do. But it has
okay.
to be something that I like.
Gotcha. Something you would like to do anyways.
Exactly. It's
gotcha.
I've done a few along the time that it's like, yeah, I'll do it for you, and it'd be for friends or family or something like that, but it not necessarily be a subject matter that I dug.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, yeah, I'll knock it out for you. And then you do it, and hopefully they like it, and so forth and so on. But by the same, for instance, I didn't necessarily enjoy doing that particular piece. So it wasn't something that I dug.
Yeah.
So, and it's like on doing people, it's there's a few different ways you can paint a person, and they're going to love it or they're going to hate it, or somebody's going to make fun of it. Oh yeah, they got your big nose in there, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
This is the one I'm trying to find. You can see that.
Oh yeah. In the background, how it's crackling.
Crackle.
Can you tilt it down a little more?
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's a very cool effect.
Yeah, that was just from messing around with stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's
I didn't really have a rhyme or reason for doing or trying. Oh man, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's going to look awesome. It's like, let's just do this and see how it looks.
yeah, it's like a curious, playful. Let's just see what happens. Yeah.
Yep.
So, that sort of effect, at least, does it work? Like, I imagine that it kind of does a little bit of its own thing. Like, you lay the paint layers down, but you don't know exactly how the crackles are going to form and all of that.
Actually, you can manipulate it some.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that, number one, the oil paint, it doesn't necessarily matter upon how much or how little you put on there. If you got a coating of oil paint, it'll crackle. So, I mean, that part's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you wanted, one of my big things is kind of a texture on paintings, because, depending upon how you light them, depends upon how they look.
Right.
It's like that I did with the Joker, which I've got over here now.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
There's things hidden in it. And if you look at it like this, over his left eyebrow, which would be your right side,
Mm-hmm.
etched in the light this right, he's got his nickname, which is Puddin'. That's what Harley Quinn's nickname for him was.
Uh-huh.
Over here, he's got a big hand print, which is just, like a bloody hand print.
Uh-huh.
Now, on how you light this depends on the effect.
Yeah.
Turn him upside down. So like this, and the light's coming from the bottom,
Uh-huh.
you have a different effect.
Yeah.
Now, somebody blind would be able to walk up to this painting, and they could do this.
And feel the texture. Wow.
Feel it. So it's like on the lips, I went super heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Then like on the part here, it's actually raised by comparison to this. And then actually put the highlights on it. Same thing for this one here. Then like here on the nostrils, down here is light, and the curvatures are super thick.
Mm-hmm.
And like the sockets of the eyes, I did the same thing. So I mean, if you walked up and you did like this, oh, that's a painting of the Joker.
That is really cool.
So yeah, you do little stuff like that. Just it's a technique thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just be plain fun. Long story short, it's kind of like these are the Night in the Forest. I did a set
Oh,
of
those are
6.
cool.
And then I thought, I didn't do one in oil, so I did that one in oil.
Very cool.
And then the latest thing I did.
Is this virus related or virus inspired? Or is it coincidentally not?
That's what I mean, as far as a subject matter or specific kind of art, yeah, they all fall prey to me. I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, too, is why I like using all the stuff that I do. I don't get necessarily tied into just acrylic or just oil or just water. And it's not necessarily to keep the senses sharp or nothing like that. There's no real reasoning behind the madness. It's just I enjoy doing it all, so I do.
It's just genuine curiosity, it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. And true story. Had somebody ask me, well, how do you go about painting on some of the bigger stuff? And I told them, I said, well, on the left side I use my left hand, and on the right side I use my right hand. They didn't believe me. So I put a video out on Instagram and Facebook. It's been about a year ago of working on one of the paint. I think it was Life 101 I was working on, which is this one here. So I made a short video of painting some of the stuff on this side with that hand and then painting some of the stuff on that side with my left hand.
Wow.
Be a smart aleck more so than anything. But again, you're playing fun. If you can't laugh at yourself, laugh at others.
Fair enough. But probably everyone should be able to laugh at themselves a little bit.
Yeah. Well, trust me, it's at my age and so forth, you sit there and you think to yourself, God, I wish I hadn't done that 20 some odd years ago. And then you start thinking about how you would have done things differently and so forth, and how you'd have been much smarter. And then the butterfly effect of that is that had you done that, then what would have turned out would now be unpredictable.
Right. You wouldn't be the same person.
Exactly. So you just kind of grin and bear it and run with it.
Yep. Yep.
You take yourself too seriously, someone else will.
Yeah. So did you have any sort of formalized art training, or did you just like pick up a brush and teach yourself kind of all along?
I actually failed art all the way through elementary, and then there was no art classes in high school. Now, the reason I failed art, and it sounds like a brag, but it's just the honest to God's truth, was the teachers wanting us to do cutout collages and, draw some stick people and this and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was doing sketches on poster board at the front of Marvel Comics, selling them for $10 a piece.
So you're just laughing at these childish art assignments.
Well, to a point, yeah. And the teacher despised me. And I don't know if it was necessarily that, I refused to do anything that she told me to do, or, I could say that I was probably a better artist, which sounds arrogant, which I am to a point, but it was just, I didn't want to do it,
Right.
And it wasn't that it was beneath me, so to speak, because everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. It's just that was when I'm doing this and I'm good at it, I'm not going to have you reciprocate and have me do something that retards my forward momentum.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous to me that.
It was weird that she was totally unwilling to meet you where you were and I don't know, nurture the higher level that you were at.
That's just 20 better.
Can you hear me?
I was talking to no one, wasn't I?
Well, you might have still been talking. I don't know if it continued recording because I cut out, or my internet cut out rather. I'm back.
Yeah, it was just growing up, it's one of those things that I did. And when I was like 13, 14 years old, me and a kid down the street made a tattoo gun out of a cassette recorder, a Bic pen, and an E string from a guitar. And
Oh my.
started coloring it together. So, you know, been doing slinging ink since I was a kid.
Wow.
Not the best at it in the world. I admit that I enjoy it. And the people that I've given tattoos to, you know, not came back and killed me or complained. So.
Well, that's probably good then. If no one gets that upset about it, it can't be that bad, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things like, how many tattoos have you done? I said, counting this one? Yeah, one. And tell them also, is this going to hurt? Well, you might pass out, but if you do, I'm going to finish the tattoo. Just.
I mean, you might as well at that point. It'll be better all around.
You broke up really super bad. I didn't hear that.
Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, I was just good. I was just joking that if they're passed out, you might as well finish it because that's just going to be easier for everyone.
Yeah, but I tell them I get to put it where I want it.
So they better not pass out.
That's one of the things too. Yeah, they said, well, you ever do any free ones? I said, yeah, but they go, it's tattoos, what I want and where I want to put it. Haven't had anybody on that yet.
No? Because shocking.
I would put it in an obscure place and it would be Wiley was here. And then, of course, it would definitely include my favorite smiley face.
Ah, yep. Very cool. I actually have not.
No, that's not from that movie. I can't remember what it was, but there's just had a drop of blood on the button.
But what?
You're doing anything like this on there. No, I can't hear you at all.
Can you hear me now? Nope. Interesting.
I wonder. Ruby.
Okay.
I've explored your last issue there. I found it online in a PDF file. Downloaded it.
Say that one more time.
On your last issue, the magazine, with the and whatnot, I actually found a PDF and downloaded it.
Cool. Have you had a chance to look through it and see your piece?
I had about 10 minutes to peruse it because I'm working from home.
Yeah.
Most people.
Right. Hence the internet problems.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, but we had conference calls a good part of the afternoon. I got off the last one at literally like 3:55. Like,
oh, wow. Okay.
I look at this and trying to get the right link put on Facebook and so forth for it. So, yeah, I got that. Just briefly run through the pages.
Yeah.
I like what you do on it.
Well, thank you. This is actually the very first issue. It's a brand new magazine. So we'll have 3 more this year, 1 for every season.
Well, until you got a very eclectic, from just, again, briefing through it on the PDF file, topics, people, so forth. You're kind of running on all 8 cylinders there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do for everything. So, just 12 directions at once. But no, the theme really is wonder. And so that can be very broad of a topic, anything that inspires wonder. And I believe anyway, that curiosity is a big part of that. So that like playful adventure. So we have a little bit of travel. We have a little bit of poetry. We have artwork and stories.
You get on the travel thing again. I went to Krakow, Poland a few months ago and took a bunch of pictures.
Say that one more time.
Back on the travel thing, I went to Krakow, Poland a couple months ago and took pictures.
Oh, cool. What was that like? What was your trip?
His business trip, but we lived out of here, bounced out of Newark, New Jersey, went into Frankfurt, Germany, then did a boat jumper over into Krakow. And then we were there 6 days. And
Wow.
then come back, we did boat jumper into Munich, Germany, and then from Munich into O'Hara. And we got in so late that we missed our flight, so we ended up renting a car and driving it down from O'Hara.
From Chicago, yeah. Yeah, well, shoot, sometimes Chicago is the one moving flights around, and then it just winds up being faster to rent a car and drive down here.
I thoroughly agree.
I have family in California, and I feel like half the time when they fly in, sometimes they fly into Indianapolis, and so then that's fine, but sometimes they fly into Chicago, and it's just like the toss-up. Sometimes they get the flight, sometimes not.
Yeah, because especially if you got internationals coming in about the same time, you know, just getting through TSA, you're going to be there for a freaking hour. So yeah, it can get to be definitely a coin toss as far as it's going to be quicker to drive than what it is to wait around, get the flight rescheduled, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Try to make it in the air for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I once had a layover in Chicago that was I literally was just watching the clock, and it was like a 4-hour layover, and I was just like, I literally could have driven in the same time and gotten home sooner, but it was cheaper to just do the flight. So just hung out in the airport for half the day. Travel is fun. Yeah. So did you get to get out and explore when you weren't busy doing your business things, and like get to explore Poland at all, or at least the city?
Well, Krakow.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, they got a lot of castles over in Poland.
Oh, very cool.
And of course, then they also got Auschwitz, you know, the concentration camp tour there. But everybody told me, you know, unless you just really want something to bum you out, do it.
Right. Right.
You know, it kind of leaves a question on you. But I'm kind of, I lean a little bit towards the darker side of things on stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm sure I'd have been more intrigued than upset, just for the simple fact that, you know, I am aware of the horrors that went on there and the atrocities and so forth, but still have something like that standing, you know, I don't really see how you could not go in there and not come out with some empathy for it.
Right.
You know, simple for that. So I just passed it. It's like, you know, it's been a great trip. Don't really need anything to Debbie Down me on this, so didn't bother.
Yeah.
That's they also got the salt mine that's all carved out. They got a few different cathedrals in there and so forth. Really neat from the pictures. Didn't get to go see it, but inside of where we were, they had the castle, a castle, and it's called Old Town, which is, you know, kind of like our Nashville, Indiana, as far as a tourist trap goes, but on a much broader scale. A ton of great restaurants, ton of different shops. One of the things that I kind of gravitated towards was the clothing and so forth, because I just like the way it's cut. I like the way it's made.
Interesting.
I like the way it looks. And, you know, European style is entirely different. You know, for a dude to say that, which I'm not, you know, don't really care what people think, but it's just one of those things that you have to be impressed by it. And one of the things I noticed was even like on their jeans, instead of having double stitch, they had 3 stitches.
Wow.
You know, there's a guy that I walked by, had on a pair of overalls that you could have probably towed a truck with. just a lot of different things like that.
Hmm.
Most people are real thin because they walk most every place and or ride a bike because autos are so expensive.
Yep.
They rely very heavily on public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my things is I dig knee-high boots. And a lot of the girls over there wore that. It's a European style thing.
Huh.
And something you just see over here, but I love boots. And, so seeing people roaming around and dressed that way and so forth, it was, I enjoyed it very much, just that
Uh-huh.
part of the culture itself.
Yeah.
And then you come down to the cuisine. Oh my God, the bread was wonderful. I mean, I love Amish bread, don't get me wrong.
Uh-huh.
But bread over there, you'd have tough and beat an Amish guy to death with it.
Wow.
You're like, you guys, this is how you make bread. They don't use a lot of preservatives in their stuff over there. So when you get meat, you get real meat.
It's fresh.
So it tastes like killed in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And just a lot of the little nuances like that. Coca-Cola, every place I went, it's in the small bottles. I love bottled Coke.
Yep. Now, is that the small glass bottles?
Yeah, small glass bottles.
Cool.
And then even their candy bar, I bought Snickers while I was over there. Tasted fresh. Tasted really, really good, comparatively speaking.
Yep.
And, you start asking, the people who live there about this, and it's like, you guys don't put preservatives in much, do you? They said, no, that's why we have bread stores, which they do. I didn't see I did not go into a grocery store. Went into a couple of mini marts, grab the Red Bulls and stuff like that, cigarettes and whatnot. I did not see a single loaf of sliced bread in 6 days. It was all fresh. It all came out in real loaves.
Uh-huh.
And bread stores like every 2 blocks.
Wow. Like bakeries?
Yeah. And now that's not saying, maybe they get it from someplace specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But at the hotel we were staying at, there was a bakery, literally, catty corner of our building.
Wow.
Then walk over the bridge going into Old Town. And then there was a coffee shop in there that had a very small bakery. Then you cross the street, one of the first things that you came to was yet another bakery. And, they had the difference in the breads, the cheeses, and so forth like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a smoker, so my taste buds are horrible, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, and you could taste the difference.
How dramatic it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Wow.
The wife, when I FaceTime her, it's like, I'd bring you home a loaf of this, except it wouldn't be.
It would be bad. It won't last the plane ride.
Yeah, well, my luggage got hammered. So,
Yeah. So is that a more metropolitan city? Like, is it a bigger city?
It is. It's not the capital, of course. It's I think like 150 kilometers or so away from the capital.
Okay.
But it's they got this big castle there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go and take a tour of the castle, and then surrounding it you have like the town square,
Mm-hmm.
and all the shops and so forth. In that you got the clock tower in the middle of it, so it's just kind of picturesque.
Yeah.
Of what you would expect going to a European country, short of going to London and seeing Big Ben.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
it sounds very like medieval almost.
Pretty close. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the architecture and stuff down there hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
So they still have gargoyles on stuff, and some of the finer made door entries and whatnot like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, because the castle
like
was probably built in what? Do you remember how old it was?
I really don't. They had the date and so forth on the plaque out there for the castle.
Yeah.
And that was one of the pictures I took, and it was real super blurry, but I didn't notice it at the time because I was taking a lot of pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm 6'3", so yeah, mark me as a tourist. I don't care. It's like, what do you want to do? Most of the people over there, like here on me.
Right.
So it's so yeah, I had a good time doing the pictures and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the bird scooter. First time I'd ever tried one of those,
The what?
which was bird scooters. You know, the little electric scooters.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Those things are everywhere over there. I mean, you can walk a
Really?
block. There's a station.
Huh. That is interesting because I feel like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, that they really kind of exploded here in Indianapolis.
Right.
I didn't realize that they were that global.
Bird Lift and another one over there. I don't remember the name of it. But I didn't see too many of them. But they had the cool scooters too. They were all black.
Yeah. Cool. So it sounds like you normally just kind of like take pictures of anything out in the world that catches your eye and then make paintings out of the pictures, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you do any paintings based on pictures you took in Poland?
You know, on some of the pictures that I took in Poland is kind of in my backyard, actually. It's kind of what inspired the night series
Oh,
with
cool.
trees.
Mm-hmm.
And because over there, the sky, the air is so much cleaner. And again, by me being a smoker, but yeah, it's everything tastes and smells different.
Yeah.
And it was a plus.
Huh.
And it's not like, well, you got family out in Cali. You've been to Cali then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got up, you stepped out on the patio, right?
Yep.
No, over there you open up the plane door and it's like somebody hit you with an oxygen mask.
Wow. Yeah. I haven't been anywhere in Europe yet. I've been out to California, and I've been to Central America, but I haven't made it to Europe yet.
So you've been to 2 third world countries.
Yeah.
On the states, I've been to every single one of the states except Alaska.
Oh wow.
And all through Canada, all through Quebec. I used to drive a truck for a living back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be a motorcycle officer, and then one day the wife comes in, and I'm sitting there all bandaged up and so forth. She's like, "That's it. You got to find."
You're done. Yeah.
But it's like, well, good women are harder to find than jobs. So
true.
I chose her over.
Good choice, I'm sure.
Yeah. We've been together 27 years, going on 28.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. But she's kind of the same mindset as me. When something's broke, fix it. You don't just throw it away.
Yes.
So as all couples, you have your ups, your downs. You got to find that common ground, and we have that.
Yeah. Good. We need more of that in the world, it seems like.
You know, to a point, I have to agree, because we are in so much of an expendable society, and that's you know, from the clothes you wear to the car you drive to the relationship that you have. You know, it's there's always more fish in the sea. Well, yeah. But you know, hypothetically speaking, if I'm going to go out fishing, I'm going to go fishing for what I want. It's, you know, catfish, not gar.
Right.
If I catch a gar, yeah, I'm throwing it back. But if I catch a catfish,
you want to keep
dinner.
it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, yeah, there's a lot of them out there, but, you know, it doesn't mean you have to catch every one.
Right.
You need to catch what you want, and then you keep it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. That, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see, I think, with everything that's going on with the virus and like the lockdowns and all of that. What is gonna happen to the sort of over-consumerist society that we have just all considered normal for so long?
one of the things that blew me away, and I blame American preppers for this, because on every one of those guys that, they had sitting in a bunker with a tinfoil hat on, which that's cool, they had enough toilet paper to last for 3 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've been prepared for this forever.
Yeah, but if you're not eating, you don't need the toilet paper.
True.
So they're kind of misguided by this. And, when there was big rushes at the store and so forth, and it's like, well, we probably ought to get out and get some more groceries then. She's like, groceries are fine. They're going after toilet paper. And I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I still haven't heard a great explanation as to why everyone went nuts over the toilet paper, but I really enjoyed all of the memes that went around that were just like, well, what are they going to do with it? Eat it? Like, why are you concerned with the toilet paper? Could be concerned with the food first. Surely that's the first step.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time, both of my grandparents, dirt poor farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of time down there in the summers and stuff when I was a kid. Any school break,
mm-hmm.
I was down there. And then come harvest season, I was definitely down there.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to bring in the hay, and we also did the tobacco and so forth, and took care of Grandma and Grandpa's family garden.
Mm-hmm.
So down there, we had a Sears and Roebuck catalog in the outhouse. It's
right.
paper. You're going to
right.
play. Makes perfectly good sense. Now, the glossy pages, you want to steer away from. And paper cuts, we won't go there.
Yeah.
But, in an absolute worst case scenario, okay, you don't have any toilet paper.
Right.
Well, you probably have a washcloth. If nothing else, you have that odd sock.
Mm-hmm.
For
mm-hmm.
goodness sakes.
Yes.
Wash your butt.
Yep. Yeah. Why? I do not know. I do not understand. I probably will never understand why that was the thing that everyone had a run on before the food.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was just, when they did the run on the guns and the ammo and stuff like that, that's kind of.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah. And yeah, you might need it. You never know. Especially depending upon the neighborhood.
Right.
And so forth, and the way things.
Things
you're always
get uncertain and
you
want the protection. But like, I can at least follow that logic. I didn't do it personally, but I can follow why they would think like, oh yeah, this would be a thing that I should get. But the toilet paper one, I don't understand.
Yeah, me either. And then I think it was the day before yesterday, they started to talk about the stores only selling what was considered essential or something like that. And that's very ad lib. Say hi, Margie. This is my wife.
Hi, Margie.
But the non-essential stuff and so forth, and you got people like me that do like to paint, draw, do whatever kind of thing as far as a hobby goes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm not going to eat my paint, worst case scenario. But
no, they don't recommend that.
Yeah, but as far as being bored and, at my age, it's not like, I've got a huge group of friends that go out and pass the virus around to.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, I'm smart enough to know that I don't want to catch it. Simple as that. And there are some people immune, and I might be one of them. I don't know, but I don't want to test that theory either.
Right, exactly.
So,
who wants to be that guinea pig?
Yeah. But, if I go to Michael's and they're closed, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm set up pretty good at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But depending upon how long this drags out and how long, what different terms and so forth it takes, people that don't necessarily have a lot of their hobby supplies, as an example, they're going to kind of run out of things to do. They're going to get bored. God have mercy on the people with children. Oh, man.
Yes, I've been thinking the same thing recently.
Not that I don't love kids.
Right.
I got 3 kids. But to be stuck in the house 24 hours a day.
Right. Well, and I imagine too that like just the way most of society is set up is both parents work because the kids are at school, and like whether it's financial need or just you have the time because the kids are at school, I feel like in most households both parents are like have full-time jobs. And so I can't imagine trying to either make decisions, trying to choose, or balance and somehow still do your full-time job from home and also suddenly become a homeschool teacher. And like, you know, it's just a massive adjustment, I'm sure.
And imagine the stress, hypothetically speaking. You're working at Taco Bell. Your girlfriend or wife or whatever is working at McDonald's. Well, they don't need as many people because they don't have as many customers. So then there's the layoffs and so forth.
Yep.
And one of the little areas that they can do is lay you off versus terminating your position. So then you have to file with the unemployment office because, I'm laid off. Oh, so you still have a job. Well, I've been laid off. Yeah, my job, I'm going to go back to it, hopefully.
But for now, they're not paying me.
So now you're furloughed, which means that you're not really applicable for unemployment because you're not unemployed, you're furloughed.
You're furloughed, yeah.
They're kind of catch-22. And then your significant other gets into the same batch. So now you're both sitting there. You have no source of income. You don't necessarily have the outlook of when your next source of income will arrive.
Because no one knows.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of places, that, you can fill out the application, they'll put you in a uniform 15 minutes later. But they're rotating them people in and out like cattle.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think, like, part of me wonders, like, okay, with all of that happening and everyone, being told, whether it's just a recommendation or actual mandates like what we have in Indiana to just stay home, like people aren't shopping as much. Like they're just not, because they're only focused on essentials. And so I don't know. I'm curious, especially as this goes on for longer and longer, if or how that's going to affect sort of the consumerist mindset, like what you're talking about, how if it's broken, you don't fix it, you just throw it away and get a new one. Well, if suddenly you don't have the option to just get a new one, then you kind of have to either fix it or go without. And so I don't know, there's a little bit of a, I guess, anthropologist in me who is sort of watching these things happen in real time and just interested to see, like, how is this gonna go, and is anything gonna change? And I don't know yet. I mean, obviously no one knows yet.
It's very much a study in human behavior at this point, because people are doing things and reacting. Some of them are informed, some of them it's knee-jerk reaction. Some of them, of course, it doesn't affect them. But, if you had 25 people in a room and you dropped a tennis ball, 10's going to say, I don't know. 5's going to say, I don't care. 5's going to say you threw it. 5's going to say you dropped it. And the other 5 don't want to be involved to begin with. So they won't even answer you. And that's our conglomeration of individuals. You have people that'll take it seriously, and then you have people that'll take it at face value. Others with a grain of salt. Others, well, it don't affect me because it only gets old people. Well, there's 2 up at Community East that's in their 30s and they got it. So, now it's not an old sick folks disease. It's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt it can get anyone. And then it comes down to the nurses and so forth having to brown back the same respirator mask, because of the simple fact they don't have any new ones coming in. Yeah. That's ridiculous. I mean, they're not getting any extra pay for this. I mean, when I was in the military, we go to a war zone, we got combat pay. These guys aren't getting that. They're being told this is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
But,
like, not quite.
Well, you didn't get signed up to play Russian roulette.
Right, exactly.
That's what you're doing, because if the mask is contaminated, you got to take it off. You got to stick it down in this brown bag. Well, the second time you do it, the brown bag's contaminated also.
Yeah.
So you're just recontaminating whatever contaminant's on there. And, it's one of those things that if anybody studies as far as, how pathogens and everything like that transfer from one object to another and so on and so forth. There's a good meme that goes around, and it's a guy thing of a guy goes into a restroom, takes a whiz, doesn't wash his hands, walks out and shakes hands with another individual, equals this guy walking up and just grabbing him by the package, which is true. That's how things work.
By the transitive property.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of rude in the presentation, but the point is fantastic. Because that's exactly how things transfer.
Right. Whatever you touched without washing your hands, you're now touching other people with. Exactly.
Well, it's kind of like if you got somebody that you'll share a drink with, but you wouldn't kiss.
Yeah. There's a connect in your logic there.
So yeah, it's I think people will be more aware of phobias and so forth like that coming out of it.
Yes, and germs. Yeah, I wonder if shaking hands will ever come back, or if that one's going to be gone for good.
Well, look at the Japanese. They don't. Well, predominantly they don't.
Right, they don't anyways.
Yeah, because they're very conscientious as far as germs and so on and so forth. People think that, and this isn't, pounding any culture or anything like that, but, they think that because of certain habits that, they're very clean people. No, they're not. They're humans. They're just as dirty as anyone else.
Yeah.
And they kind of know that. That's why they don't want to shake your wiener hand. Simple as that. Right.
It's actually an awareness of how dirty we all are. That
and them guys running around with masks on, well, they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But unless you have the proper mask, yeah, you can take a sheet of toilet paper and throw it over your face, and it's just as effective. But your standard mask, yeah, it's good if you have it, because then if you cough or sneeze, you're not necessarily transmitting it.
Yeah.
Catch the majority of it as far as the particles go.
Right.
But the virus itself is like 0.05 parts per million. So it travels through that mask.
Yeah.
So still, if you're in close proximity, you stand a chance of being infected and so forth. Whereas with the proper ventilator, the ones that the nurses and so forth should have, whole different ballgame, because it's a different apparatus meant for a different thing.
Right. Right. Well, I heard that like the masks that everyone has been super, I don't know, hyped up about, that everyone wants, are ones that are actually, like, they were never actually designed to keep anything away from you. They weren't designed to keep you safe. They were designed to keep someone else safe from you coughing or sneezing or whatever.
Well,
so people are just using them for the wrong application, basically.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like, everybody's sewing masks for nurses and so forth like that, which is fine. Number one, you got to look at the material that it's made of, that the mask itself is made from, because like on a cotton t-shirt, you need 7 layers of that for that mask to begin to be effective. But again, if you have it, and if you cough, sneeze, bodily fluids kind of thing, and that mask catches it, then that mask is doing what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But as far as you wearing that same mask around infected people, it will not help you.
No.
By stretch of imagination.
No, it's not designed to.
Exactly. So, I mean, the nurses, like up at mission or something like that number one, have the distance between themselves and the patient. And number two, wearing some type of mask. Yeah, it will be a preventative, but it's not determined that, it's going to help, because again, it won't.
Right.
The mask is designed for that. And, it does add a layer of protection to a point, but it doesn't protect you from the virus in and of itself, because the virus is too small. It travels between the fibers.
Right.
Whereas the mask that everyone's going on about, it's a respirator mask. So there's two different things that's different between that. Number one, a respirator mask fits your face firmly, so that around here and so forth, it actually
it's airtight.
And then you got the dual filter on it also. You got the forward facing filter, and then you got the little one on the inside of it there. So on that, yeah, it can catch the small particles. That, like going down here to the hardware store and buying a desk mask and think that's going to keep you safe from anything viral. It won't. It wouldn't keep you safe from the household cold. Mask.
Yeah. But people get panicky and do weird stuff.
Yeah, but that's human nature. That's what we do.
Exactly. It is interesting though, because this is such an unprecedented thing. Like, there are certain aspects of it that have been seen before. Like, there's a comparison to war in some ways, and there's comparisons to like the Spanish flu and just other big global events, but like never anything exactly like this.
Well, that's one of the things that particular virus, not the COVID-19, but its predecessor's been around for over 800 years. They used to call it dry lung. It's got similarities to sarin and so forth like that. One of the things did better and different, and I'm not, conspiracy nut. I like reading them.
Yeah, some of them are really fun.
Well, I'm the guy that'll have 20 screens open on my computer, compare note to note to note, and do the fusion center on that information and make up my own damn mind. Oh, sorry. But
okay.
It's one of those things that, if you read the headline and it's Mickey Mouse got out of jail. Oh, did you guys hear that? Yeah, Mickey Mouse, man, that dude was in jail. Dude, he's a cartoon. You know that, right?
Right.
So it's a lot of it's perception and how somebody perceives the events and whatnot and how it affects them. And they can only judge that off of what life events they've had thus far.
Right.
And for us, our generation, people alive on the planet right now, no one has lived through something like this before. So we're setting a precedent moving forward. Just like back in the day, there's been other precedences also on similar events. Well, it never happened before. It didn't happen. Black Plague, a great one. Now, we have technology and so forth that, we could actually take this virus and pluck off the folds on it. Melt down the fat, do whatever we want to, because we have the technology to do that. 200 years ago, what a microscope was.
Yeah. Like the science technology has changed everything. Even the technology, like the internet right now, if this were, the Spanish flu of 1918, we wouldn't be able to have a conversation. Like, so many businesses are shifting online, and like you said, you were on virtual calls for work, and like all of it is totally different than anything else, because we've never had, like, this technology is new enough anyways. We certainly have never had like a global war or pandemic or anything like that, while also having the technological advances and abilities that we have. So like, it's totally like, it's weird because it's so different but also the same. Like, I was reading something that went around Facebook several days ago now, but it was a letter written by F. Scott Fitzgerald while he was in quarantine in somewhere in France, I want to say, or it might have been Spain, but during like the Spanish influenza epidemic. And it was just like him writing a letter kind of talking about his experience. And it's so fascinating how similar it was. Like everything he's saying is like, oh yeah, we're doing that. Like, it all just really resonated. But at the same time, this is a completely new, unprecedented thing.
Yeah.
So it is interesting.
Have you ever read the Rules of Communism?
I have not.
1965.
By who?
It was written in 1965.
Okay.
But it's 45 Rules of Communism. And it's not trying to do a political thing by stretch the imagination.
Uh-huh.
You can pick that up, and I'll guarantee you can put a check mark next to every single thing on there
Mm-hmm.
if you do it with an open mind.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you don't have to look any of it. And it's not like a 7 steps from bacon kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we did that. Yeah, we did that. So on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
History will repeat itself if people are too dumb to learn from it the first time.
That is true. But I also think that maybe history kind of just repeats regardless. Like if you read, ancient Greek and Roman philosophers and writers like Marcus Aurelius, it's just like most of what he's talking about in his, what is that called? It's like his reflections.
Yeah.
I think it's called something else, but now I can't think of it. Meditations. It's the Meditations, I think, by Marcus Aurelius. And like, it's just very human. And like humans haven't changed. He was writing this in like early AD compared to now, but most of it is still pretty applicable. And even like Plato and Aristotle and, the oldest stuff is still relevant.
Is the vegan movement thing, getting away from MSGs, getting away from most any Monsanto product inside the continental U.S.
Right.
Foods altered. That's why you have to have a probiotic.
Mm-hmm.
Is because your body cannot digest this stuff on its own. It needs help. Your body's not a trash factory.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's an engine. So
Yeah.
you put bad in, you get bad out.
Mm-hmm.
And the engine doesn't work the way it's supposed to because it wasn't fed the right type of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get all this stuff, altered crops and whatnot, you're not getting what you paid for, simply put. And Socrates said, let thy food be thy medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's going to eating clean, eating green. They don't want the chicken that's been in the same room with 20,000 other chickens. They want the free range chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Organic this, organic that, which, where Cherry Tree Plaza is out here at Washington Square?
No.
Washington Square on the north side of the street, Cherry Tree Plaza is the south side of the street where like Best Buys and everything is.
Okay.
I used to rabbit hunt there as a kid.
Really?
Yeah. Which I used to rabbit hunt out at the airport and stuff too before they expanded on that.
Mm-hmm.
But when that land was acquired, they actually dug it out, which is how come it slopes down like it does going into Cherry Tree,
Mm-hmm.
because it was contaminated. All of the land was contaminated.
Wow. With what? Say again?
Cow manure.
Oh.
Which is still very popularly used as a fertilizer. Now, down home, again, when you're at band camp down on the farm, we use cow food to fertilize the garden. It didn't populate enough to do the field because Granddad only had like 15 cows.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the family garden goes, yeah, we use it there because it's a fertilizer. It's a byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever seen cow poo, it's looks just kind of like a big pile of moss, only wet and warm, until it dries. Then it becomes a cow flat, and you use it like a frisbee. So, I'm serious.
No, I believe you.
It's one of those things that it's extremely biodegradable.
Mm-hmm.
Which, think about it. What is dirt? Well, it's the waste and byproduct from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
When a plant dies, it goes back to the earth, which is dirt.
Yep.
Same thing with us if it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was contaminated with cow manure, so they dug it out to get rid of the topsoil that was no good and so forth like that was contaminated. Which whoever got that's probably got a beautiful garden now.
Mm-hmm.
But the old farmer that used to let me hunt the land is the one that told me that, yeah, they're going to dredge it out. And I thought, at the time, that, yeah, they ain't going to do that. Well, yeah, they did. And that's how come Washington Street's here, Cherry Street Plaza's down there.
Huh.
I mean, the street's almost level with the rooftops of the building.
Yeah.
You got a shot of laser.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they dug it out as farm so that they could build on the land so that it wasn't contaminated with cow manure. Now, people that grow organic, is what they use. Cow manure.
Mm-hmm.
Full circle.
Yep.
And it's just, again, humans being humans and doing what we do. So it's, again, this whole thing with the virus and so forth moving forward, it'd be great to just be able to sit back and take notes and interview different sects of people in different areas and so forth and get their takes, see how it affects them.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's reality with this thing's entirely different too. You know, 2
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago, my reality was I'd get off from work and I'd drive home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now my reality is I'm sitting in my office.
Right. You get out from work and you're already home.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the realities in of that have changed, and
Mm-hmm.
relationships with people and so forth too. You know, you're not hanging out with people that you hung out with 2 weeks ago.
Nope. People are doing like Zoom birthday calls, and it's just like, it's on the one hand, it's great because it's amazing that we have this technology and that we can still try and connect at all. But then on the other hand, it's just kind of like, it is not the same thing at all to have like 12 people on a Zoom call all trying to say happy birthday to one person. Like, it's just not the same thing as if 12 people get together for a birthday party, because you have little groups that can section off, and yeah, it's just
Put on the bright
totally
side,
different beast.
break the party whenever you want to.
Exactly.
You know, if there's everybody calls, they sing happy birthday, you cut your cake, birthday party's over 12 minutes versus hours. So, you know, if it's the thing that you're showing up to be polite, or the friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing, or something like, you can always hit the end button. Oh shoot, I lost connection. Sorry about that.
Right. Sorry guys, I'm going into a tunnel.
Exactly. That's one of the big things as far as texting and so on and so forth like that is, you know, you lose the human connection. And, you know, face it, a text or an email is very black and white. It's interpreted by your mood.
Right.
Regardless of what it says. And then, you know, you get up to the upper echelon of it and so forth. The interpersonal skills aren't there the way that they used to be 20 years ago.
Correct.
Just my observation.
Mm-hmm.
Because 20 years ago, didn't have the source of being able to text somebody and, you know, give them 24 hours to answer it.
Right.
You know, if you wanted
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Well, in my group, it's one of those things of, oh man, yeah, I know the name of that song. I just can't remember. Oh, call Jimmy. He likes that band.
Mm-hmm.
Call Jimmy. Jimmy. Da, 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 da. Yeah, man, that's so and so. Well, now I can't remember the name of the song. Google it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
So we relied upon very heavily other people, interpersonal skills, a library.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just there's a lot more legwork, and now life literally goes at the speed of light.
Yeah. 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 And now we're all, I don't know, taking a weird reset, break, something.
Kind of. It's, you know, we still got the technology and so forth. And God, just think of, hypothetically speaking, the internet went down.
I know. I don't even want to think it because I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you imagine? It would be wild. It's already wild.
I was a kid, farm boy.
Yeah, yeah. You can imagine probably better than I can.
Grandma Turner didn't even have a television.
Mm-hmm.
She had a radio. So it was kind of like one of those scenes from the Waltons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the day gets done, you eat dinner, this and that kind of thing. If it's cold outside, you sit around the potbelly stove and you'd either swap stories or listen to the radio.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Summertime, you know, a lot of the cousins come down, they bring their instruments, you know, so be out there in the barn lot. swapping back guitars, banjos, first one thing and another, tinkering with them and trying to make music. Sometimes it actually succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different world.
Yeah.
Well, life, same world, different life. But
Yeah.
it also moved at a much different pace.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like my Uncle Donald lived 300 yards away from Granddad's. So you'd have to go down his driveway, you'd have to cross the creek, go across my Aunt Bonnie's property, cross the creek again to get on Uncle Donald's property to ask him a question.
Yeah. That's both so close and so far.
Yeah.
Because most of my aunts and uncles live in different cities, but I can just call them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very wild. And it's interesting too how I really like probably being an artist. I really like a lot of the memes that I keep seeing that are sort of like in appreciation of the arts, because it's just kind of like, all right, remember, a year from now when everything is normal again, remember who you turn to in the dark times when you were stuck inside. It was the artists, it's the music, it's the books, it's the TV shows and the movies, like it's the live streamed concerts that everyone's doing now. And I think before, like what you're talking about, how people, you would just kind of gather around and tell stories or make music or just play around. It's just a very human thing to create artwork of whatever kind.
And we as humans, you know, we're still the basic Homo sapien. We're like one step up from sniffing butts instead of shaking hands. We're mammals.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. But we have the capacity and the learning capacity, and our brain works differently than other species, which allows us to do all these things, because you don't see a monkey sit down with a paintbrush and think, I'm going to paint that other monkey. You see a monkey sit down with a paintbrush and just go wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's cute, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same respect, there's no artistic value to that. It's not like he contemplated what he was going to paint. He might have been taught to paint a butterfly or something as such, but he didn't come up with it on his own.
Right.
And apes use tools, so, and that's why I use them as a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But they still don't have the capacity, and their brain doesn't work the way ours does in that format and so forth.
Yeah.
And, I could get extremely scientific crap on there, but what's the use? But they just do not work the same.
Yeah.
As far as the size of the brain and stuff like that goes, there's other species that dwarf our brains. They're not as smart as us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and by the same respect, they're good at what they do. Because if you took the average, if I go downtown here and pick up a hipster, drop him in the middle of the Amazon, he's dead in 3 days.
Yeah.
But if I picked up a gorilla and dropped him off here in town, unless somebody shot him, he'd be fine. He'd figure out where the trash cans were. He'd know which McDonald's to raid. So it'd be one of those things that they adapt and overcome. And we as humans we have an entirely different skill set, where do we not only adapt and overcome, but we have the ability to grow from that and use what we've learned moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think we also have the ability to anticipate, or at least attempt to anticipate, rather, so we can be proactive and not just reactive. And then of course something like this happens and we were not prepared at all. So we're in full reaction mode, I feel like, just as a species right now. But hopefully we can learn from it and then be better prepared for the next one.
Had we learned about it differently and had more time to know about it, there would still been a mad rush. Don't get me wrong, because you can forecast half an inch of snow, bread, milk, and eggs gone.
Right.
That's, you know, well, Indiana, that's what we
But
do.
even still, I mean, like if you're hearing like the reports out of New York are sort of simultaneously terrifying and also really heartening, because like we did get some warning, and so all of these stay in place measures and orders that everyone's doing and flattening the curve, like all of that is sort of specifically, okay, we're anticipating, like we're not doing this to help out today, we're doing this to help out the hospitals 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And then in those 2 weeks, we're going to do everything we can to get our hands on as many ventilators and as like building extra beds, and like just the stories of converting like convention centers and hotels in New York into like makeshift hospitals, because they know that, you know, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be way worse than it is now. Like it's not, certainly if we had had more time and more warning, we could have prepared a lot better. But I feel like even for the little amount of warning that we have gotten, it's heartening to see people doing what they can to prepare, you know.
Well, and part of that's coming together, which, you know, prior to social media, you wouldn't have had that. You would have had your zones, and it would have been click by neighborhood or click by block or family that lives on the same block.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't have the widespread information and instantaneous information.
Right.
Because you, like right now, hypothetically speaking, hey guys, they got toilet paper at dollar store. You know, their Facebook readers are the only people that's privy to that information, and whoever else might have posted it or something such.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, 20 minutes later they get a rush, but
Yeah.
toilet paper. Whereas, you know, 20 years ago, you'd have came back home, you'd have told your mom might have told your aunt, so on and so forth. So the passing of information, number one, was a lot slower and a lot more central, because if somebody over on this street had the flu, you know, people would be out there cordoning off the block. You know, don't walk down that street.
Yeah. You might get sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't mean to cut you short, but the wife texted me and said dinner is done.
No worries at all. I was just gonna say I probably need to go make dinner myself.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you for being the inaugural Starlight Emporium podcast episode.
I appreciate that.
Why don't you tell anyone who's listening, tell them where you can, or where they can find you online, like your website and social media and stuff.
Pretty much Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, a few others, WETWRXART.com, which is WETWRXART. And also got the WETWRX.com site where I sell the paintings and so forth like that, which pretty much anything that you would see is probably for sale.
Yeah. Awesome.
But again, it's a hobby for me, so you know, I don't have the $1,000 paintings or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Very cool. Well, I will stick those links in the show notes as well.
Really?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You do the same. Take care of yourself.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.